Hello everybody. This year rooms looks full, so much better than last year. I'm happy. I would like to present something about my project GRUB, what's happening right now and what our plans. My name is Daniel Keeper. I work for Oracle and I'm software developer and one of GRUB upstream maintainers. I would like to introduce GRUB maintenance at the beginning shortly. I would like to tell you what happened last year and what's happening right now. And also I would like to discuss with you some our pain points and problems which we have currently in the project. And at the end I would like to ask you for some input. Not much changed since last year. There are three active GRUB maintainers. Alex and I work for Oracle. I mostly focus on upstream development. As you may saw, I usually try to review your patches and apply as quickly as possible. This is quite difficult because I do also some other work for our company. Alex focusing on development for our GRUB development for our company, but is slowly moving to upstream. Vladimir is most experienced among us and help us to get more involved in the project and with some technical issues which are not which we do not know some things. So what happened last year? We took a lot of new features. One feature which was done for Debian folks is support for Spark 64 and other IEEE things. We have almost all patches in upstream. We are waiting for some disk driver which should be developed. I've asked Eric Snowberg, who works for Oracle, to do some fixes for these patches. There were also a lot of ARM changes, fixes and cleanups. Mostly this work was mostly done by Leif from Linaro, and I suppose that there will be also much more patches coming. There is also support for multiple init.rd images. And this was prepared by Robin and Matthew. GRUB probe got party-UD detection support from Nicholas. And XFS got some support for sparse inodes. This was quite a simple patch, but I think it is worth mentioning because some people use that feature on XFS. Btrfs got some quite interesting new features. There was a lot of work happening for RAID 5 and RAID 6 supports. This work was done by Gefrado. Btrfs also got ZSTD support from Nick, who works for Facebook. We also worked on some security features for GRUB. First of all, GRUB got Verifies framework. This feature was initially prepared by Vladimir, but he was busy with other stuff, so I took over the project and I added some fixes and cleanups and some extensions. And we got this at the end of last year. On top of this, we put UEFI secure boot shim support and UEFI TPM 1.2 and 2.0 from Matthew Garrett. It looks that some people are testing this feature because we got recently some fixes for TPM driver. And Jürgen Gross from SUSE added PVH support. Currently it works. It was tested by one guy, so it seems that it is working. And of course, on top of that, we had a lot of fixes and cleanups for GRUB. What's happening? Currently, we quite closely cooperate with Trenchbrook project. The Trenchbrook project is the goal of this project is to use all security features which currently available on x86 platforms. So I'm thinking about UEFI Secure Boot, TPM, TXT, etc. This is currently work in progress. We have all features which are needed for this project in GRUB, but we also working on UROOT changes, Linux kernel changes, and other module which is needed to have this project working. You can take a look at the GitHub page, and you can get more information about this project. If you would like to get involved, you are welcome. As I said at the beginning, there is still work happening around IEEE disk driver, which is done by Eric. Sadly, he is involved in other stuff for our company. Alexander from SUSE is working on RISC-V or RISC-V, it depends. Colin Watson from Ubuntu posted recently some patches for easier integration of GNU-lib with GRUB. Andre from ARM reposted patches for DHCP support, because currently GRUB does not support DHCP, just only bootp. This is quite surprising, but it works in that way. So we would like to improve that. This work was taken over from Andre, who is busy with other stuff. And never-ending story, UEFI MNP driver. From time to time, people come back to us and say that currently existing implementation for SNMP doesn't work, and it shouldn't work. So we would like to get this driver. This will solve most of boot issues on UEFI platforms, boot over network, of course. But we would like to leave as an option SNP support. So main support will be MNP, and then if it doesn't work, then GRUB fallback to SNP. And GRUB 2.0 for release. There is more and more questions coming to us. I had a lot of discussion about that yesterday. Initially, we thought that we would like to have some features complete in our GRUB upstream, but it looks that people expect earlier release and do not care about complete features right now. And in general, as I can see, it is more expected that we will be releasing in time than with future complete things. So probably I will discuss with other maintainers today, and we will take a decision shortly, and for sure we will announce this on GRUB Devel. What are our pain points right now? We try to increase patches review throughput and decrease response delay. This is quite difficult for us, because not so much people are reviewing patches, and mostly I. So this is difficult, and I would like to ask people to take a look at patches at their area of expertise. This would help much. Even we are thinking about splitting responsibility to different areas, and to get some sub-maintenance or something like that. We will be discussing that. Anyway, I think that situation last year improved. As you may saw, we got many new features, and we will be working for sure on improving the situation. Another goal, another project which kicked off with Alex, this is a reduction of number of patches, custom patches needed by various distros to make GRUB upstream usable. The worst situation currently is in Red Hat at Fedora. They have about more than 200 patches, custom patches, with various things. And we, during the FOSDEM conference, discussed that. We go through all of them, and some of them looks quite interesting for the project to get that upstream, but some of them are not, let's say, are distro specific. So for sure we will not take them. And this also is quite close to improving overall cooperation with distros. We would like to be closer to the distros, to the distros maintainer, and would like to get more input from the, and more input and more help. After introduction of verifying framework, we had a huge fallout because we touched a lot of things and by mistake broken some other platforms and features. And this showed that we need some kind of script or some kind of solution which will help to discover at least build problems. So currently I'm going on the script which can be used on my platform, but I'm going to upstream it. It should be quite simple and easy to configure. So this way almost everybody on own platform will be test all some platforms. Of course, I'm also trying to introduce support for Travis, and also it will be upstreamed. Another issue which we have is that some people start posting the patches on the mailing list. I've or other people ask for some changes, and after that people disappear and drop this work in the middle. This is bad because first of all these people waste their time. We waste our time on reviewing the patches, and we also lose quite nice features, fixes and cleanups. Additionally, because due to our workload, we are not able to take over this work very often. So simply, this harms our community in a lot of ways. So please treat us seriously and do not do that. And another thing which is also related to development, it looks that some people doesn't read our comments carefully. I understand that some patches are quite long and you can miss some comments, but very often I see that half of the comments are taken into the account and half comments are skipped silently. I understand that some of them may not agree with my or my colleagues' comments. So if you do not agree, just complain. But if you think that it makes sense, please take into the account and please post the patches with all things fixed. Because once again, this also wastes our time and doesn't help to improve the project. And at the end, I would like to ask you for some input to the project. First of all, what do you think about current work? What we are doing well? What we should improve? And do you think that our priorities are the same as yours? And we ask for some help because, as I told you, this is difficult work, and there is a lot of work which should be done, and for sure, we as a maintainers, we are not able to do all of this work. So I'm waiting for your questions. Yes.
Getting back to your abandoned patches question and lots of work pending, do you have a wiki or something where somebody can come and find this abandoned work? Somebody can pick up something which was abandoned.
Partially, we have a back website which is integrated with GNU, and some of this work which should be taken over is on this backlist. But as I told you, this is difficult for us maintain a wiki or something like that, because we are currently focusing on let's say, taking the code and reviewing the code, and this is difficult. But I think that it would help to have a wiki, for sure.
One thing that we would like to have is something like Garrett. The problem is again that we don't have enough time to implement it. So if there are any volunteers, contact us.
Any other question? Yep.
What are your feelings towards the bootloader specification that Fedora is driving forward to make sure you don't have to write a new GRUB configuration file in case when you install a new kernel? Is that something you want to pick up, or is it something you don't care about?
Vladimir, yes, sure. The question was, what were our feeling about bootloader specification? Is it correct? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. When we were looking at the Red Hat and Fedora patches, we saw a lot of patches for bootloader specification. This is not our target in the near future, but for sure we will be working with that, because at least yesterday one guy was asking about that. So I think that we'll be working on that. But Vladimir, I think that you can say more about that.
The bootloader specification, the way how it's written now, is a good idea in general, but it fails to account to some new developments. Once they check it, basically you don't want to have the list of kernels anymore, because that makes it impossible for you to sign the config. And so I'm working on some config which will describe the way to boot without listing every kernel, and then that's something that you would be able to sign and so on, and that's something that I hope can be adopted by several distros. Because right now the current config file, it is good if you want to essentially write the plugins for GRUB, the complex logic and so on. It's very useful for this, but for normal users, it's kind of overwhelming.
Any other question? Yes?
Actually, more of a comment. I've got a couple of patches in GRUB. I can say that the development process, at least for me as a distro person, has clearly improved recently. Thank you very much for your efforts in going through patches with people.
Okay.
It's much easier to get things in than it used to be, and it's definitely great to see work going on and good constructive reviews with people. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Specifically, this thanks goes to Daniel, because I have to admit it was my fault. It was so difficult to get patches, because when I was a student, it was kind of okay to find enough time for it, but then with work and family, it became way more difficult.
It's hard. We all understand that.
And that's really the thanks goes to here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, you mentioned about there's a big stack of Red Hat Fedora patches, and I know all of the distros have a stack of patches. It's going to take time to go through and get all of those things merged, and hopefully they don't diverge too far.
Yeah.
If we can get more common stuff.
Okay.
Into core growth, that would help.
The question.
We just started with Red Hat because it has the biggest amount of patches.
Sure.
But we are going to check every distro, and we are comparing the patches. Obviously, some patches are present in each and every distribution, and actually it is already the case. Like SUSE, Ubuntu, Debian, and Red Hat, it has exactly same patches. But after all, we are going to go through each and every distribution, just pick every page. Well, not through every distribution on the world. Every major distribution.
And that's something that Daniel took care of.
The question was about taking all the specific patches which are in distros. I would say that that the worst thing is, let's say the worst thing, is Red Hat and Fedora. I think that Debian and other distros has much less distro-specific patches. Our goal is, as Alex told, we would like to compare this list which we prepared, which we discussed during the before the FOSDEM, and compare with other distros. And at first we will be taking the most important patches and the smallest one, because I think the smallest one, it will be much easier to get and quicker to get to the upstream. So this is the goal. But as you said, this is a long-term project. This is not for, I suppose that it will take 1 year or something like that. It depends how many people will be involved in that. And for sure we would like to ask for help distro maintenance in this thing. First of all, we will initialize the discussion, and then we will, I hope that we will split the work among these people.
Actually connects to the previous pain points, because in Red Hat Fedora stack, there are quite a lot of patches which are for one specific enterprise platform, and which would break other platforms that Red Hat basically doesn't care about, and then trying to contact the original author. He is available, you can speak with him, but then they disappear when it's about fixing their patches so it's suitable for everyone.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
Actually, Daniel, it shouldn't be your task to take patches from distros and push them into your own upstream. Right? It's reversed from the way it should work.
Yeah, I think this is, let's say, we would like to, let's say, coordinate this work. I'm not going to repost these patches, let's say.
You should have patches.
You need to take one step behind and figure out why people did not push their patches upstream, why they stopped doing so. Because in most cases, distros are the element about pushing patches upstream, except for GRUB. And this except for GRUB only has a reason, and we need to figure out that reason, solve that reason, and then people will come and push the patches upstream again.
Well, it's not like only for GRUB.
To be fair, there's actually a lot of patches, at least in Debian, which are all upstream already. So it's like, because they haven't been released for a long time. For example, all this Spark stuff, this has already been upstream.
Okay.
Yeah, the Red Hat basically what I explained is that often the patches to fix some specific issue on specific platform, and the patch is done basically in a way which will break everyone else. And then they don't want to. I suppose that sometimes on often enterprise they on side deadlines, so they prefer to quickly patch something so it works rather than.
It's the exact same issue as the kernel, but in the kernel they managed to push their patches upstream. Why don't they do that on GRUB? There is always a reason. And the reason could be because patch review takes too long. Maybe that's the reason, right? But there is always definitely a reason.
I think that Alex's point is good, and we will be discussing that, I think.
Well, actually, as Daniel told, we'll be contacting all the maintainers, so maybe we'll sort out these issues and just make the process smooth. So we won't have this problem.
That's
But-
what I'm
but-
trying to get to. You guys should not be in the position of looking at downstream patches.
Yeah,
But
right now we need to start moving because we already paid the station. It's 250 patches.
But 250 patches, that's an awful lot of backports. I think if we start getting to time-based releases, where distros can actually base their packaging on upstream releases that are a lot more recent, then you'll start seeing a lot of those patches going away, and it'll be a lot more clear what's actually distro-specific and which is just backward. And sometimes, if you're backporting patches, then you're only getting part of it, and there are other changes, so you need to throw in additional patches to make those.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You're just adding on that.
Okay, 5 minutes left. 5 minutes. Sorry, 5 minutes left. Any other questions?
What would you like to be done before the next release?
I think we, the question, sorry, I will repeat because we are recording. There was a question, as I understood correctly, what we are going to do before the next release, right? And what we are going to take in the next release, right?
Probably not much compared to current patch, because we would like the release to be available earlier rather than later. And if we try to pull additional features, then it will delay.
I think that, I think that we'll be discussing this today, and we will take decision quickly, because I think that this is the problem for people. So I would like to solve this quite quickly.
Yeah, we don't want to give the exact answer because it would commit us to something, and
Yeah.
this would be something that we do not want right now.
But give us some time, and we will post shortly our decision on the GRUB devel. So please, please stay tuned. Yep.
So, what thoughts do you have about CI and regular testing on?
Travis.
Okay. What thoughts do you have about wheel CI? Actually testing on a variety of machines, that kind of thing. There's been much discussion about that.
I'm not sure that I understand the question. Could you repeat?
CI is Travis basically. So yeah.
Okay. So in terms of continuous testing
Yeah.
of builds and whatever on wheel hardware, will Travis do that for you?
I think that at least some of work can be done by Travis, and I told that I'm going to take a look at Travis too.
Okay.
This is the goal. The question was about CI testing and integration, and thus Travis will help us to test GRUB. I think that it will help, at least some.
Real hardware is something which is very tricky, because then your test start failing every time the cable disconnects or whatever. But fortunately, QEMU can actually emulate a lot of platforms that we care about, and we have some scripts which do parts of the testing, but it's not complete.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you for coming.